Well, hello and welcome to this live English lesson. I'm Bob the Canadian. As you can see, I'm not outside. The weather was very unpredictable this morning. I went outside early just to kind of look, and it was raining. We actually had a little bit of hail this morning. Then the sun came out, but then clouds rolled in again. And even right now, it looks like it's sunny, but it's kind of unsettled. So I didn't want to take a chance. I didn't want to go outside just in case we had some rain. I'm going to check my audio early this week. Good. The audio is working. I know a couple of weeks ago I had a small audio problem. But anyways, welcome to this live English lesson. If you are new here, this is how this works. There will be a link shared in the chat. There is also a link in the description below. You can use that link to ask a question. I think the quality is okay now, but it looks like I was having a few errors. Let me just double check again. Yeah, it looks like everything is working good. Please use the link to ask your question. I will take the next hour or so to try and answer as many questions as possible that you have about the English language. It's kind of a weird, crazy language. And sometimes you have questions and it's hard to find a good answer to it. So anyways, I will do my best to answer your questions. Please use the chat for two things. Use it to have good English conversations with each other, and use it also just to kind of get to know the people who are here. So enjoy each other's company, have good conversations. Please keep the chat in English. But let's jump over to the first question. I'm sure there is a question available. I usually don't share the link until about 1 minute before the lesson starts. But there's usually a question ready to go for me. And there is a question ready. It is from Ruslan. Let me get that question on the screen. Ruslan says, "Hi, Teacher Bob. No questions this time. I just want to thank you for the great lessons. I always recommend your channel to my friends who learn English. Best wishes." Well, thank you, Ruslan. Ruslan has been a great viewer on my channel. He has been to many, many of the live streams. So thank you, Ruslan, for not just watching the videos, but for also sharing them with other people who you know are learning English. Next question is from Shanae, and I think I'm going to have a little trouble with this question. Let's see. Hello, teacher. What is the difference between 1, reflect versus relate, and 2, aggregate versus incorporate? So aggregate or aggregate, there's two pronunciations. When you put little stones on your driveway, we call it aggregate. Interesting. But anyways, let me get back to your first question. When you reflect on something, it means you think about it. So if I reflect on this past year, it was a good year in some ways, but it was also not a very nice year because of COVID. So when you reflect on something, it means you think about it. When you relate to something, it means that you understand it. So let's say a friend of yours is sick and you just say, "Oh, I was sick like you are. I can relate to that." It means you understand what they are going through. When you incorporate something, it means you mix it in, okay? And I'm going to leave aggregate for you to look up the definition yourself because it has a couple different definitions. But when you are making something, and you need to, let's say you have flour mixed with water and you put in sugar, you stir it because you want to incorporate the sugar. You want to mix it in. But Shanae, I would look up both those words because they have various meanings for sure. Let's get to the next question. Next question is from Panthera Nori. "Hi, dear teacher. My question for today: does flying into a rage mean to quarrel only in a verbal way, or it can mean physical violence? Thank you." So it basically means an emotional outburst. So when you fly into a rage, it might mean that you start yelling. It might mean that you start shouting at someone, but it also might mean that you start to physically hit them. Usually when someone flies into a rage, when we say that, "Oh, he was flying into a rage yesterday," it usually means yelling and shouting. It means anger. It means that they're very, very mad. And it means that basically they are just getting very, very angry. Hey, I'm just going to stop and say hi to a bunch of people in the chat. Hi, Lolly Lolly and Tier Agnes, and Panthera Nori is here as well. And I see Jing Bao Zhu is here. Very cool. And a lot of other people. I know Rod is here. Rod VIP is here. I know that Renata is here. I know that there are many people. When I start to say names, I always feel bad if I miss somebody. I know that Sam the Taiwanese is here. I know Sandeep is here. Very cool to see all of you in the chat. Let's move on to the next question. This is a very personal question. Valerie says, hello, Bob. Have you ever been drunk very much? What kind of alcohol do you prefer? So on the first question, I sometimes drink alcoholic beverages, but I do not drink in excess. When you say that you drink in excess, it means that you drink so much that the alcohol starts to affect you or that you become drunk. I'm more of a person who will have a glass of wine with dinner, or maybe I'll have a beer from once in a while. But yeah, do not drink to excess. And what kind of alcohol do you prefer? I would say, first of all, I don't drink a lot of alcoholic beverages. It's not a common drink for me. I drink a lot of water, but when I do tend once in a while to have a bottle of beer. Beer is nice. I don't mind drinking beer. Let's see here. Renata has the next question. Renata's question is, can you tell the difference between inevitable and unavoidable? I know they're synonyms, but when would you use which? Thank you so much. So let me pronounce both of them again, because they're weird words when you hear them. Inevitable. It's a lot of syllables, right? Inevitable and unavoidable. So when something is inevitable or unavoidable, it means it's going to happen. Let's say you're driving your car and it's winter and someone pulls out in front of you and you hit the brakes, but you realize that it's really slippery and you're going to hit them. You would say that that's inevitable or unavoidable, because when you're driving on really slippery roads, if you turn, your car won't turn. So it's inevitable or unavoidable. So they mean the same thing. They don't have any special usage, Renata. You can use one or the other. They mean exactly the same thing at any time. Let's see here. Next question is from Timur. Timur says, hi, Bob. One phrase in a book, the first application we study is, could they write the phrase, the first application we're studying is, what is the difference? They mean exactly the same thing. The second phrase sounds a little better to me. They're both correct, but if I was writing, I would probably use the second phrase. I would say the first application we're studying is. Now, I'm going to add to that though. I would probably say this, the first application we're going to study is. That sounds the most natural to me, but again, all of the sentences are correct in my opinion. It's just English is a little weird sometimes. So, Johnny from Brazil. Hola, Mr. Bob. Are as if and as though used interchangeably? For instance, he was acting as if he was the boss, or he was acting as though he was the boss. And which one is more common? Thanks. They're both totally legitimate. Oh, that's a big word. They're both totally correct. I could say, he was acting as if he was the boss. And I could say, he was acting as though he was the boss. In that specific case, they are exactly the same. Yes, for sure. And neither is more common. They are both very common. You could say, the boss was gone the other day and Joe, he was acting as if he was the boss. Or the boss was gone the other day and Joe was acting as though he was the boss. Did I just say the same thing twice? Joe was acting as if he was the boss. Joe was acting as though he was the boss. Both work and both are correct. Let me do just a little check here again on how things are going. Yeah, everything seems to be working good. Great question, Johnny, by the way. Good question. We connect sentences a lot with as if and as though. Let me see here. This question is from Katerina, and I think my questions disappeared. Not sure why. Let me just check something for a sec. There they are. And Katerina says, hello, Bob. How are you doing? Should I check the audio since the questions disappeared? I should do that for a sec. Sorry, I'm just going to quietly listen to myself. And there's a little delay when I watch there we go. We're good. Hey, so the question from Katerina is, hello, Bob. How are you doing? How much are the utilities for a house in Canada? Thanks in advance. Greetings from Kiev. So utilities are things like water and electricity, and maybe internet. So in Canada, electricity is probably around $100 a month. Sorry, I got a little itchy there. Electricity is probably about $100 a month. Internet and phone are often together, and that's about $100 a month. Water and sewer, so you have to pay for water coming in, but you also have to pay for the water and waste that goes out when you flush the toilet or when the water drains out of the sink. That's usually about $40 or $50 a month. I might be wrong. It really depends what city you are living in. And I'm, of course, talking in Canadian dollars. So that's about what it is. Hey, I do want to pause and say hi to the 423 people who are watching. Don't forget, there is a subscribe button there. If you click that subscribe button, you'll get notified whenever I put out a new English lesson. And if you have not ever watched my other videos before, I do put a short video out every Tuesday where I teach a new English concept, or I take you somewhere sometimes. So if you're interested, you should check some of those out. Let me get to the next question. This is from Athanasios. Hello, Teacher Bob. I hope you are well. Could you please explain to me the word contest as a verb, please? Thank you. Oh, sorry. So contest. Notice how I mispronounced it because I didn't realize you wanted me to talk about the verb. So let's talk about that. Sometimes you can be in a contest. Okay. So when you buy a lottery ticket, it's kind of like a contest. They want to see who will win. But when you are playing against another team, you are contesting for the prize. So you're going to contest the other team. It means you're going to challenge them or play against them. Okay. So once again, a contest, that's a noun. That's a thing that you try to win. But in the verb form, you would say contest. So you're going to try and contest the other team to see if you can win. Slightly different pronunciation, exactly the same spelling. Next question is from Mia. Hi, Mia. Hello, Teacher Bob. Hope you are having a nice day. I am, actually. Could you please explain the difference between the words crop and harvest and how to use them in a sentence? So we grow crops. In our fields, we plant seeds, and then we call that a crop, okay? So right now in my field, I have wheat growing, and that is called a wheat crop. When the wheat is ripe at the end of the growing season, we will then harvest the wheat, okay? So you talk about it because it is a crop. So you would call it a soybean crop, a corn crop, a wheat crop. But at the end of the year, or at the end of the growing season, when it's ready, you will harvest it. So that is the difference between the two. Let's see here. SL Lenka has the next question. Hi, Bob. Could you explain the meaning of ironically? Thank you. So I'll probably get this wrong because we often use ironic and ironically wrong. But ironically, I'm doing my live stream inside because I thought it was going to rain, but the sun is shining. That's not totally correct. I mean, it's correct in the sense that English speakers would say something like that, but technically it's not ironic. But it's when you have two things where it's kind of funny how they relate to each other. So ironically, it's now sunny outside. I wish I was outside. Sorry, it would take too long to move everything. So we're going to be inside for the rest of the lesson. Let's see here. Eduardo. Hi, Eduardo. Hi, Bob. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to fix this a little bit, Eduardo. What's the correct form or the common way to say again and again or over and over again? Thank you. We use both, okay? So let's say my child, let's say one of my kids wanted a cookie. I know my examples often involve cookies. They might ask again and again for a cookie. It might start to drive me crazy because they might say, Dad, can I have a cookie? Dad, can I have a cookie? They might just ask again and again. I can also say they just keep asking over and over again. So both are ways to emphasize a repeated action, okay? So he did something again and again, or he did something over and over again. It simply is a way to describe someone who is doing something repeatedly. Guivan says, hello, Bob from Ukraine. Hello, Guivan. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. That's awesome of you. Let's see here. Kismo says, hi, Teacher Bob. How are you doing? Have you ever dreamed in French? Thanks. Yes, I do sometimes have French dreams, particularly when I watch a lot of French television before I go to bed, or if I watch a lot of French music. If I listen to a lot of French music. You know why I made that mistake? It's because I often listen to music, but I also watch the music video. So when I listen to French music, it's often on YouTube. So yes, if I watch a lot of French television, or if I watch a French film, or if I listen to a lot of French music right before I go to bed, sometimes I will dream in French. And in my dream, the people speak perfect French. It's kind of cool how that happens. I'm not sure if they actually speak perfect French, but it sounds to me like they're speaking perfect French. Alex. Oh, this is a deep question, Alex. Hello, Prof. Bob. Tell us your secret of how you are so happy and positive every time. My goal is to be like you. So, first of all, what you see on the internet is not the entire life that person lives throughout the day. So I am a normal human being. I get angry. I am sad. I am happy. Sometimes I'm frustrated. I am not the nice person that you always see. I am, for the most part, a nice, happy person. If I get a good night's sleep, if people don't bother me during the day, I'm usually quite happy. I'm usually quite a happy person. I think it is a product of a few things. One is I try really hard to walk every day for an hour to get exercise. I try to get a good night's sleep. I actually have a very nice family, so that helps. My wife and kids are very nice people. And then at work, I try to do a really good job. And I try to make sure that my students are learning. I like to do a good job at work. That makes me happy as well. So, but again, please don't assume that the Bob you see is how I am every waking hour of the day. When we talk about our day in English, sometimes we say every waking hour. I have my moments. There's another phrase for you. I have my moments. I mean, just this past week, I was in a couple arguments at work. So I do argue with people sometimes. I was frustrated a few times. I wasn't angry this past week at all. But yeah, I'm just a normal human being, Alex. So I think the secret, here's the two things: get a good night's sleep and exercise and eat healthy. Those three things will, I think, really help with your mood. Let's see here. Next question is from Bailey. I do want to shout out to, I just saw Brent's here from American English with this guy. By the way, if you have not watched any of Brent's videos on YouTube, he also teaches English. So check him out at some point in time. But hey, Brent, it's good to see you. Brent and I haven't touched base a lot lately. When you touch base with someone, it means you talk to them. We haven't touched base lately. We're like two ships passing in the night. I think we're both really busy, but I did send Brent a little email last night. I responded to one of Brent's emails from September just last night. So that's kind of how busy we are. But anyways, Brent, good to see you. Let me get to the next question. Oh, this is the next question. Bailey says, hey, Bob, what does interest mean when we talk about law, and snap when we talk about photography? Thank you so much. So I'm not sure how interest relates to law, but interest can relate to when you do like something. So you might have an interest in the law. You might want to become a lawyer. You might want to become a judge. But interest does relate to money. So if you put money in the bank, you earn interest. If you put money in the bank, you might get 2% return on that money, and we call that interest. So I'm not sure if I answered that one correctly, but in relation to the law, the only thing I can think of is that you might be interested in the law. Let's see. And then with photography, we snap pictures. I think it's because cameras used to make a little sound like I make really bad sound effects. But I think when you say, oh, I'm going to go snap a few pictures, or actually last week, a photographer came to our farm to snap some pictures. So it might be an older way to talk about photography, but I still use the word snap when I'm talking about pictures. A lot of times I'll go out and snap a few pictures every once in a while. Let me check something for a sec, everybody. Yep, I think that's good. I'm just getting errors on my screen, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the stream. So that's good, or the lesson. Um, Ahmed. Hi, Ahmed. Hi, I hope you are fine. I am fine. Do you have any group for practicing English, like on WhatsApp or Telegram? I don't. So, um, one of the things that's very difficult for me is that I have a job, and Jen and I also run a flower farm. So, the best I can do is that I respond to as many YouTube comments as I can, usually about the first hour after a video goes up. But I actually don't have a lot of time to interact with people on WhatsApp or Telegram, or to have a small group. I know it's not very nice, but there's too many people. It's a lot of people. So I have not explored doing that. Hey, Brent, thank you so much for the super chat, man. You keep up the great work as well. I know that when you hit this point in October, you can get a little bogged down in teaching. In English, when you say you're bogged down, it means you have too much work, too much on your plate. How many phrases do we have in English? We have too many phrases, don't we? Yes. Sorry, I apologize once again for the complexity of the English language. Next question is from Andre Padron. Hello, Teacher Bob. There is a Beatles song that says, I will send all my loving to you. What's the difference between I will send all my love to you? I'm not sure if they say that, I will send all my loving to you. I think it's I will send all my love to you. If they do say in the song, I will send all my loving to you, I think it's just poetic license. In English, sometimes we say people take poetic license. Often singers and poets will use the language in different ways because they're artists. So they take poetic license. So technically, you wouldn't say, I will send all my loving to you. You would say, I will send all my love to you. But I'll have to check the lyric, Andre. But I think I would chalk that one up to them taking poetic license. How many phrases am I going to use today? When you chalk something up, it means that that's why you think it's the way it is. English is a crazy language. Cornelia, what is the difference between the verbs intrude and interrupt and disturb? So when you intrude on someone's conversation, it has a level of rudeness to it. In fact, the word has rude in it. If I was talking to a friend and someone just walked up and started talking to us, we would say that they are intruding on our conversation. We were maybe trying to have a personal conversation and they kind of butted in. That's another way to put it. When you interrupt someone, it can be a little less rude, but it does mean the same thing. It means when someone is mid-sentence, you start talking, okay? And then when you disturb someone, it's just any time you bother them or you are just being kind of not nice to them when you disturb them. I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's the best explanation so far. Julia has the next question. I have to check my time here. Oh, we're good. Julia says, good day, Teacher Bob. Hi, Julia. Thanks a lot for your great work. You are very welcome. Could you please explain in which situations I can use the word engaged? Where is this word used more often or most often? So a couple of things come to mind. When you are working on something and you're totally only thinking about the thing you're working on, we say that you're engaged in your work. Okay, so often at school, when I am making lessons for my class, I'm completely engaged with making that lesson. It means I'm not thinking about anything else. If you're watching this live stream right now and you are following everything I say, we would say you're really engaged with me. You're engaged with what I'm saying. So it means you're connected, you're listening, you're paying attention. We also use this word to describe two people who are planning to get married. We would say that they are engaged. Okay, so when someone proposes to someone else and the other person says yes, we then say that they are engaged to be married or they are engaged. So I think there's more meanings than that. I'm going to move on though, but there are definitely a lot of meanings for the word engaged. I'm going to just do a quick check here again. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it up to Todd and Dave. Yell at me, guys, if the stream isn't working well. I'm getting some dropped frames, but it looks like everything is continuing to work well. So not sure why that's happening. Usually doesn't. But anyways, give me a shout. You can text me too if you need to. Wait, maybe one of you did text me already. Let me check. Sorry, everyone who's watching. Nope. Okay, next question is from Peter. What do you think about memorizing chunks while learning English? So there are as many ways to learn a language as there are people in the world. And a lot of people have different strategies for how to learn the language. My view is this: as long as you're putting the time in, as long as you are working hard and effectively, almost every method will work. I find that people that have trouble progressing when learning English or another language also have trouble sitting down and working hard for long stretches of time. What you're mentioning is, should you learn chunks of English at the same time? I think it's a great strategy to learn chunks, but to have them all have a relation. So a good example is this: I do a lesson every Friday morning and it has a topic. So in terms of learning, that is a chunk of learning. And what's good about that lesson, I think, is that it's all connected. So yesterday we did a lesson about the weekend and the things people do on the weekend, phrases you can use for the weekend. So I think that if you can use new vocabulary in context, it's very helpful. So let's see here. Todd's saying, hey, Bob, everything is fine on our end. Awesome. Thanks, Todd. That's great. Let's see here. Rod. Hi, Rod. Rod says, good morning, Mr. Bob. I want to please know the slight difference between knocked at the door and knock on the door. Thanks. You're a legend. Thanks, Rod. Have a great Sunday. I will. So there's very little difference. I could say that I was trying to read a book yesterday and someone knocked on the door. I could say I was trying to read a book yesterday and I heard a knock on the door. There was a person just this morning who knocked on our door. So at the door or on the door mean the same thing. What would I use the most? Someone knocked at the door, someone knocked on the door. I would use at. Both are correct. I think I would use at. Someone knocked at the door. I was teaching yesterday and someone knocked on my door. No, I used both. I think they're fairly equal, Rod. Definitely. Another on and at situation in English where things are very, very similar. Let's see here. Ario, let's see. Ario says, hola, Mr. Bob. What's the difference between crow and raven? And what does lost of love mean by Air Supply? Oh, Air Supply. So first of all, I don't know the difference between a crow and a raven. All I know is that we have crows where I live in my area. They are a large black bird, and a raven is also black. It might be that they're the same. I don't know enough about birds to say. And then lost, I'm not sure if that's the name of the song. I'm going to check for a sec. Air Supply. I think it's Lost in Love. I'm pretty sure. So I'm not sure if we're talking about the same song, Ario, but I think Air Supply sings a song called Lost in Love. And that would mean that you're so in love with someone that you have trouble living your life and doing everything you're supposed to do. That's what I would say. I think that's the song, Lost in Love. Johan has the next question, or Johan. Hi, Bob. I would like to know if we can say 1 on 6, for example, or if we should say 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6. Yeah. So if you say, 1 out of 6 people like cookies, 2 out of 4 people like pizza, 1 out of 4 dentists recommend that you brush your teeth every day. Actually, I think 4 out of 4 dentists recommend that you brush your teeth every day, but it's definitely out of. That would be what you would say. So I think 3 out of 4 people like my videos. There we go. Hey, I should pause and say, if you are new here, there is a subscribe button. If you want to support my channel, there is a join button. And I just want to say hi to the 612 people who are watching. I'm Bob the Canadian. I teach English here on YouTube. You are watching a question and answer lesson. If you use the link in the chat, you can submit a question to me and I will try to answer it today. So thank you so much for being here. I do want to mention as well, that many of you are members of the channel. I really, really appreciate that. And right now, we are going to switch to members only chat for about 10 minutes. So if you are a member of the channel, let me just check something here. I thought I clicked the right button. Maybe I didn't. Yes, I did. If you are a member of the channel, first of all, thank you. If you are a member, you get to have your name in green. You get a small crown beside your name in the chat. And during this segment of a live lesson, you can ask questions directly in the chat. So if you are a member, you can do that. Now, I am, of course, going to keep answering questions from everyone as we move along. So Moyang says, what's the secret to listening in English well? So the secret to almost everything in English is to do lots of it. And I know that's a real teacher answer, and it sounds really simple, but there is a lot of truth to it. And I want to add to that, you should do a lot of listening, but you should make sure you have a lot of variety, and you should make sure you do passive listening as well as active listening. So let me explain all of that. You need to listen to a lot of things in English. You need to build variety. You need to listen to the news. You need to listen to music. You need to listen to podcasts. You need to watch YouTube videos and listen. And all of that is what I would call passive listening. You can make breakfast while you listen to a podcast. You can drive your car while you listen to music. But you should also do some active listening. The best way I can think of to do active listening is to get the lyrics from a song, remove every 10th word in a word processing document, and then when you listen to the song, write those words in. Okay, so let's back up to the beginning. Listen to a lot of stuff in English. Do it every day. Do active listening where you're interacting with what you're listening to. Singing along is another way to actively listen because you're listening to the song and also using speaking. Or create exercise. So I think I messed up there. You should passively listen a lot as well. Let me look at the chat though. Let's see here. Panthera is helping people again. Awesome, Panthera. Sam says, hi, Teacher Bob. I noticed about those silos behind you in some of your videos. I am wondering, what are they used for? And is there any function with their height? So they are not currently used. When I was younger and when my parents owned this farm, the silos were filled every year with feed for the animals that we had. Right now, they are both empty. The taller silo, we actually need to get taken down because it's starting to lean just a little bit. The smaller silo, I would actually like to convert it into rooms someday. It's empty as well, but they are currently empty, Sam. Good question. Panthera says, Teacher Bob, the word upbeat is an adjective. It means cheerful or optimistic. Thank you a lot. Yes, so a very upbeat person, like Brent is a very upbeat guy. When you are upbeat, it means you are quite cheerful. It means you are optimistic. It means you are usually happy. I try to be upbeat as much as possible. Lolly says, en ce moment. Oh, at this moment, sorry. Sometimes I start reading lollies as if they're French. At the moment, I am engaged with you, Bob. I am listening to you very carefully. So you would want to say that you're engaged with what I'm talking about. Tricky when you say you're engaged to someone because people might mistakenly think that you're going to get married to me, which is not true. So just be careful. You are engaged with the lesson. When you start to say you're engaged with a person, you have to be careful how you say it, lolly. But merci beaucoup. C'était une bonne question. Merci. Let's see. Sio Wu says, thank you for your lesson. I love your lesson. You are very welcome. Vladimir says, hello, Teacher Bob. Firstly, I want to wish you all the best. Unfortunately, I haven't been here for a long time. What's the weather in Canada these days? So, first of all, Vladimir, awesome to see you again. Right now, we are in mid-fall. It's about halfway through the fall season. And it is becoming very cold at night. It was 0 degrees last night. This morning, when I was thinking about doing the live stream outside, it was raining, it was hailing for a little bit, and there was thunder and lightning. So it's quite chilly. I think it's only 8 degrees outside right now. So let's see here. Rod says, Mr. Bob, are you still teaching in person at your school, or has your school any new guidelines to close down again? We are still teaching in person, Rod. Cases in Ontario went from about 100 a day up to 700 a day, but it has leveled out. So there is a lot of COVID, but we are still teaching in person. Hopefully, we can do that for quite a bit longer. Panthera, another question. In which context can I use the word eloquent? A speech can be eloquent, so not the material things, or they can be also. We usually use the word eloquent to talk about someone who does a speech, someone who reads a poem, someone who uses the English language really nicely when they are speaking in public. So President Barack Obama, when he was president of the United States, he was very eloquent. He was really good at using words to convey emotion and meaning. He was a very eloquent speaker. So we often always use it to talk about someone speaking. I can't think of a situation where we would use it to talk about an object. So it's usually about, I try to speak very eloquently in my videos. I don't always, but anyways. Lolly Lolly says, oops, I didn't mean to marry you. No, pas de problème. It is kind of one of those funny English words though, right? You just have to know the meanings so that you use them right. Rachel Ting, and I was just laughing with Lolly. That's funny. Let me go to the next question. This question comes up at least once a month. Pavel says, hi, Bob. Why do you pronounce conversation with a Z sound, or a Z if you're American, after the R? Dictionaries say there is an S sound. So this is very Canadian and very regional. So as you learn English, there are regional dialects and regional pronunciations. In my area of Canada, it might be just unique to, the thousands or so people around me. We say conversation. You hear a little Z sound come out. Hello, fly. It's incorrect. You should probably say conversation. I can't even say it right with an S, conversation, but I say conversation. I didn't realize I said conversation until I started teaching on YouTube. You guys were the first people. You were all of you were the first people to tell me that I had a peculiar accent when I said that word. Let's see here. Next question is from Sachin. Sachin says, meaning of sarcastic, and I am waiting to be creating another channel of advanced vocabularies. Well, we'll see about the other channel of advanced vocabulary. But in terms of being sarcastic, it's when you say things that are funny, but they're also true, and it might be a little bit negative. It's hard for me to come up with an example of sarcastic, but a sarcastic person often says things that some people find funny, but other people might think are mean. So it's kind of a fine line. It's hard to describe. I'm trying to think of if I could say something sarcastic, but I can't think of a sarcastic comment right now. Let's see here. Panthera is talking to Lolly Lolly. By the way, I love it that you guys have conversations with each other. That's really awesome. And Swetha says, hi, Teacher Bob. What is the meaning of level-headedness? So when you are level-headed, if you are a level-headed person, it means that you remain calm and you know what to do in many situations, even when something tragic is happening. So let's say if you are a level-headed person and you are driving your car and you hit another car, instead of crying or getting angry or being upset because you're in a car accident, you would actually get out and you would say, okay, we should call a tow truck. We should call the police. And you would just be very calm in that situation. We would say that you're very level-headed, and you refer to it as level-headedness. That's the general term for that. I try to be a very level-headed person, but sometimes when I'm in some situations, I get very emotional or upset. Louise has the next question. Here we go. Hi, Bob. I am a college student. Would you please give me some advice to become an intermediate English learner? So I think the difference between a beginner and early intermediate English learner is how much control you take over your own learning. So beginner learners often do Duolingo. They might take a class and do what the teacher asks them to. An intermediate learner needs to start to connect their own interests with their language learning. So if you like to bake, you need to start reading recipes in English. If you like to read science fiction like I do, as an intermediate learner, you should start to read science fiction in English. So an intermediate learner should be connecting the language learning to their own life. A beginner often learns lots of vocabulary, plays some English learning games on their phone, does things that are fun and enjoyable. An intermediate learner needs to start integrating the learning into their life. If you watch TV every night, stop watching TV in your own language for 1 hour and watch something in English. If you like to read novels, try to read a small novel in English. So that's what I would recommend to move from beginner to intermediate and advanced. You need to start doing more things in your life. You should always be listening to English music whenever you can. That's what I would say an intermediate learner does. By the way, Dina F has just become a member. Thank you, Dina, so much for joining the channel. That is awesome of you. Let's see here. Panthera says, using sarcasm can be really effective, but you better not use that tool too many times. Yes. And it's something you use with friends and family, but you might not want to use too much at work. You might not want to be too sarcastic at work. Your boss might not like it. Vladimir says, how many mistakes are allowed if you are an intermediate learner? You know, you're going to make mistakes all the time. I make at least 1 or 2 mistakes speaking English during my live lessons, and I'm a native English speaker. So I would say a few mistakes here and there aren't bad for an intermediate learner. Making mistakes in conversation is actually good. It's better to make mistakes and have a conversation than to not have a conversation because you're afraid of making mistakes. So anyways, Panthera Nori says, hats off to you is a recognition, right? Yes. Let's say, Panthera, that you just passed an English test. I'd be like, hats off to you. That's awesome. So when you say hat, you don't have to do this action, but it is a way to recognize when someone has done something good. You say, oh, hats off to you. That's awesome. I'm just going to turn something off here for a sec. Give me 1 moment. I think I've done it. And I am going to check my audio again. Excellent. Okay, so where are we at? Members only chat is off. I do want to thank my members once again, and thank you to those who have become members during this live stream. There is a join button below if you want to help support my channel, and you get a few perks along the way. You get an extra video on Wednesdays where sometimes I just ramble on about my life, but people do seem to enjoy it, and you get a few other things. So if you do want to support me, I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Pavol says, hello, for me it is difficult to pass from basic to intermediate. What can I do better? I think it comes down to what I was saying earlier, but also you need to put learning English into every day of the week. Like, I think you need to spend an hour a day, 6 or 7 days a week. That's really, to me, the difference between a beginner and intermediate. You really need to start scheduling time to work on the language. Not sure, Pratyusha, exactly here. Let me just read this. Hi, Teacher Bob. How are you? What is the meaning of dream-a-cont? I don't know. But wish come true. A wish come true is when you hope something happens and then it does happen. Cereal and cereal are pronounced the same way. So a cereal, the first one with the letter C, is something that you eat for breakfast. You eat cereal. And then cereal with an S is anything that comes in order. Okay. For sure. Gloria, I'm not sure about this, Gloria. Good morning, Teacher Bob. Please tell me, what does slash mean? I saw this. He usually wears slashes. Thank you. I don't know. I'm not a fashion expert. I'm not sure what slashes are. I'm trying to think whether it relates to another English word. Like, he usually wears glasses. That sounds the same, but I don't think that's what you're asking. So, sorry, I don't know the answer to that question. Sometimes Bob the Canadian does not know the answer. Let's see here. Next question is from Izam. Hello, my favorite teacher. Thank you, Izam, very much. Could you tell me what is the difference between word and vocabulary? Thanks. Best wishes from Indonesia. So, when you're learning English, you need to learn a lot of words. When you're learning English, you need to learn a lot of vocabulary. In that sense, they do mean the same thing. Vocabulary is a very specific name for the words you need to learn when you're learning a language. Okay, so in French, I have to learn a lot of vocabulary. I could say I need to learn a lot of words, but usually when you're talking about a language and the fact that you're learning words in that language, you call it vocabulary. It's just a more official way to talk about words. Let's see here. We're over 600. So, hey, if you are new here, you should click that subscribe button. And I do want to say hi to the 631 people watching. It always surprises me because we start out with about 200 people, and then I don't look at how many people are watching. And then every once in a while I look over and I realize that there's lots of people watching. So, hi, I'm Bob the Canadian. You should subscribe. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Let me check if I got the next question here. Next question is from Pavel from Russia. Dear Bob, could you please explain the difference between two terms, topic and agenda, when we speak about scientific meaning? Thank you very much. So here's what I can tell you. Yesterday I did a lesson. The topic was the weekend. You might go to hear someone speak, and the topic might be gravity, okay, if it's a scientific convention. So it's the thing a person is going to talk about for a little while. That's the topic. An agenda is simply a list of all the things you're going to do that day. Okay. So if you have an agenda for the day, your agenda might say meeting with the boss at 9, work on project from 9:30 till 11:30, lunch from 11:30 till 12. Your agenda is your schedule for the day. Okay. But yeah, a topic is, this English lesson I'm doing now does not have a topic. The lesson I did yesterday and all my Friday lessons have a topic. So I usually only talk about one thing. We talked about the weekend. One week we talked about describing people. It always has a topic. Let me see here. Bet says, hi, I am able to understand someone who is speaking English, although I memorized 2,000 English words. How can I exceed that problem? Thank you. So 2,000 words is a good start. 4,000 to 5,000 common words is just super helpful when learning any language. So the first thing you need to do is increase the amount of vocabulary you know. Now, 1,500 to 2,000 words is technically enough for you to start understanding, but you just might require more practice, and you might need to start to connect those words to their context. What I mean by that is when you learn the word cat and you know what a cat is, you should also use the word cat in a few sentences, or at least hear the word cat used in a few sentences, because it starts to go deeper into your brain. So I would say keep working at it. Schedule time in your day and keep working at building that vocabulary and using the vocabulary. Using the vocabulary is very, very important. Let's see here. Augustine from Costa Rica. Hi, Bob. First, thanks for all the videos you have made. I really learn with them. How many languages do you speak? What's the most difficult? So I am a native English speaker. That is the easiest language for me to speak. And I have learned French as a second language, and c'est assez difficile pour moi de parler français. It's still difficult for me to speak French, and I do make mistakes when I speak French, but I love speaking French. So that's it. I don't speak any more languages than that. Sometimes people ask about whether they should learn a third language. And I've never used to know what to say, but now my response is this. If you have time, try it, because learning a language is all about time. If you have time, do more of it. Let's see here. Let's see. I think I get this one. Hakui says, Bob, I can understand you perfectly, but it is hard for me to understand others and focus all the time when I had a conference call, I think, with my coworkers. How to improve that? Thanks. You learn to understand language, but also people. So my way of speaking is slightly slower than how I speak normally. And I also try to speak very clearly. So I am someone who I try hard to make it easy for you to understand me. Um, when you, the other thing that's happening here is you're only listening to me. No one else is trying to talk while I'm talking. When you get into a situation where you're having an English conversation with 2 or 3 other people, it does really increase the difficulty of that conversation. It's harder to understand, and people tend to talk a lot more quickly. So it again comes down to just doing more of it, and trying to be as intentional as you can. And if it's a conference call, if that's what you were involved in, if you were on a conference call, see if you can record it next time and then listen to it later. That's always a good idea as well. Anytime you have a chance to record something, you should do it. Let's see here. I do see Swetha asking a question in the chat. Swetha is a member, so I'm going to take the question. Hi, Teacher Bob. What is the meaning of cozy and how to use it in a sentence? This sweater is really cozy. On a cold day, when I wear this, it's warm. It's a really nice material. I just love this. I wear this too much. I'm going to wear it out eventually. When you wear something out, it gets holes in it. But this is cozy. When you sit on a couch at night, if it's cold, and if you get a blanket, it makes it a lot more cozy, for sure. Chen Chen says, hi, Bob. Could you tell me the meaning of the words maintain, preserve, and boost? Thanks a million. When you maintain something, it means it stays the same. I put my tea in an insulated cup so that I can maintain the temperature. So I try to maintain the temperature. I want to keep the temperature the same. When you preserve something, that has a little more to do with a longer period of time. So a good example is they put preservatives in food to preserve the freshness. We often put fruits in jars to preserve them. So it's really the same as maintain, but I think for a longer period of time. When you boost something, you just make it more powerful. If you put a special thing on a motor called a supercharger, it boosts the power. When you put lots of sugar in your tea, it can give you a boost. It can give you more energy. I think I explained it somewhat okay. I hope that made some sense. Let's see here. Next question is from Pastor Padilla or Pastor Padilla. I'm not sure how to pronounce, but I'll go with the double L. It has a Y sound like French. Hi, Bob. Could you tell us what's the difference? Little correction there. What's the difference between issue, problem, and trouble? So if a student is angry with me, I could say, look, I don't want to have an issue with you. It means I don't want to have a conflict. I could also say I don't want to have a problem. And I could say I don't want to have any trouble. So when people don't get along, we could say they have an issue with each other. We could say they have a problem with each other. And then when we use trouble, we could say something like, whenever they're together, there's trouble, or they're always causing trouble. There are far more meanings, Pastor, than that. But I think that's how you would use those words when talking about people interacting. Let's see here. Natalia says, one new word for me is dressing gown. Is this a common word? Perhaps the word robe is used more often. Do you or your friends constantly wear robes at your home? No, we do not wear robes. And in fact, dressing gown for me is an older word that I have not heard for a while. And I wonder if it's a little bit British. We use bathrobe. So people sometimes will wear a bathrobe. And then when I look up dressing gown, I'm seeing pictures of what I would call a bathrobe. Okay. So I think it's maybe just more British. But no, I don't wear a bathrobe. It's kind of a personal question. I have a shower. I dry off with a towel. I wrap the towel around my waist, and then I usually go and put my clothes on. That's as much as I'm saying about that. I know Jen a long time ago had a bathrobe. And I think she would love to have another bathrobe. I think her old bathrobe eventually wore out. Yeah, it's not as too common. But I mean, people do wear bathrobes. Usually after they have a shower, they'll wear a bathrobe before they get dressed. Let me see here. Next, by the way, hi, Natalia. Hope you are doing well. Farouk has the next question. Hello, Teacher Bob. I am confused by the differences. Little correction there. I'm confused by the differences between have been waiting, have been waited, and have waited. Could you tell me what are the differences? So these are grammatical tenses. So if I was to say, you know, I've been waiting for 10 minutes. When is the doctor going to see me? I've notice I use the contraction. I've been waiting for 10 minutes. Have been waited. I can't think of an example for that one, but you could say I've waited for 10 minutes. So I have been waiting and I have waited are very similar, if not identical. Maybe when you were here earlier, the live stream wasn't starting. You could say, oh, I've been waiting for 5 minutes, or I have waited for 5 minutes. They mean the same thing. And sorry, I can't think of an example of have been waited. Have been waited. No, can't think of it. I don't think I would say that. There might be a time to say it, but I can't think of one. Sohila, hi Bob. Thanks for a lot of your use. Thanks a lot. I can't read English today. Thanks. Hi Bob. Hi Bob. Thanks a lot for your useful classes. Pull together and put together. Do they have the same meaning? So when you pull together, it means you all work hard on the same project, or it means you gather things. So let me explain again. When I am at work, if we are all working on the same thing, and if we all pull together, we can get the job done faster. I do want to pause and say thank you to Illy Purview for becoming a member. Thank you so much for joining the channel and supporting me. That's often. You can also pull together a bunch of things. So before I bake something, I might pull together all the ingredients. It simply means to gather them. When you put something together, it means you assemble it. Maybe you've bought a piece of furniture from a store like IKEA, and it comes in parts, and you need to put together the chair that you bought. That's how I would describe those. But pull together has a couple different meanings for sure. Let's see. Margaretha says, hi, Bob. Please explain the difference between the phrases in a pinch and for want of. Thank you. Best wishes from Ukraine. So in a pinch is an interesting one because it means you want, sorry, I just cleared my throat in front of the microphone. When something works in a pinch, it means it's not the ideal thing, but it works. So here's a great example. You buy a bouquet of beautiful flowers and you come home and you don't have a vase, but you can, in a pinch, you can use a cup as a vase. So a cup isn't the ideal thing to put flowers in, but in a pinch, a cup will do the same thing as a vase. So it means that it will work in that situation. I don't use the phrase for want of very often. Like I guess I could say I use the cup for want of a vase, but that's not a common English. It's not a common English phrase that I would use at all. So let's see here. Idris, what kind of books should we read? All the books. You should read all. No, sorry, Idris. You should read books that you enjoy reading. So if you enjoy reading mystery novels in your own language, you should definitely read mystery novels in English. But the biggest and most important thing is that you make reading part of your day. So you should read the news. You should read books. If you like gardening, you should read a gardening magazine. When you want to look something up on Wikipedia, you should use the English version of Wikipedia. So basically, it's not what you read, it's how much you try to add reading to your everyday life. That's probably more important. But certainly, read things you like because it's a lot easier to stay interested. Let me check something here. Give me one moment. I'm just going to see how far I am on the questions. I'm going to keep going. So Todd and Dave, I'm not sure how busy you are, but I'm going to push this live stream a little further and see how far I can get. It's a nice day. It's going well. So let's keep answering questions. So if Todd or Dave, if you can stick around, that's great. If not, no big deal. Let's see here. Next question is from Dylan. Hi, teacher. Hope you're doing fantastic. Could you explain to me the meaning of cold turkey as an expression and how to use it? Thank you very much. God bless you. So, a long time ago, I used to smoke cigarettes. When I was a teenager, I used to smoke. But one day I quit cold turkey. That means that one day I smoked cigarettes and then I just stopped. Sometimes people love eating chocolate and they love eating sweets, but they're getting a little bit overweight. And so they just stop they stop eating chocolate cold turkey. So when you stop something cold turkey, it means you don't like I didn't smoke less cigarettes every day. I didn't smoke like 5 one day and then 4 and then 3. Instead, I quit cold turkey. So one day I was a smoker, the next day I stopped. I have not smoked again since. Smoking is not good for you. I know some of you smoke. It's just not a good thing. Let's see here. Andrew has the next question. Hi, Bob. Let me rephrase this. How much tax do you pay for your car? So that's an interesting question. When you buy a car in Canada, you pay 13% tax on the car. But once you own a car, you do have to pay every year for your license plate and for the ownership, which could be considered a tax. And that's about $130 Canadian a year. And you do have to have insurance on a car, which is for me, about $100 per month. So in all that, that's not all taxes, but it's expensive to own a car. And you have to keep it on the road. You have to fix the car. Let's see here. Silvio says, in Brazil, we said, of doctor and crazy, everyone has a little. Is there anything similar in English? I'm not sure. I totally understand that, though. What you mean is that everyone thinks they're a little bit like a doctor and everybody's a little bit crazy. But no, we don't have a similar phrase, but I certainly like that phrase. My doctor doesn't like it when I research my symptoms on the internet before I go for my visit. So let's see here. So Bam says, hi, teacher. I want to see your kids sometime. Hope you invite them in your live stream. So Bam, we decided as parents that until our kids are old enough to decide themselves, we will not put them in our videos or on Instagram or on anything on the internet. So my oldest son has actually been in a couple videos, and there is one video where my kids are sitting around the table and they all say hi. I think it's the video where I talk about my daily routine, part 1 or 2. I don't know if Dave or Todd can find the link to the video where I talk about my daily routine, part 1 and 2, put them in the chat. You might see my kids in that video, but normally we don't. Sometimes they're in the distance, but we're just going to let them decide when they're teenagers whether they would like to be in a video or not. So let's see here. Pedro says, hi, Bob. How to pronounce ear and year? It seems to be almost the same pronunciation. This is my ear, and the year is 2020. I can see how it does sound that way. Like I listen with, I was going to say I like to listen with my ears. Well, I listen with my ear. It is the year 2020. So year, you do say a little bit of a Y sound when you start saying it. Let's see here. Michael says, what's the difference between I will and I'm going to? So I will have a nap later today. I'm going to have a nap later today. They mean the same thing. The more familiar is to say I'm going to. In English, we use I'm going to very, very often. Let's see here. Murad says, hi, Bob. Thank you for your effort. Do you think it is possible to get an accent by listening? When you listen to someone who speaks with a British accent or American accent or Canadian accent, you will, I think, develop a similar accent as that person. I don't think we fully understand how that works, but you have to realize that children have the same accent as their parents. So it is something you do learn for sure. Hung says, hello, Teacher Bob. What's the difference between ruin and destroy? Thank you. So if my son makes a cake and then I mush the cake, you would say that I ruined the cake. The cake is ruined. You could also say I'm destroying it. So they have almost the same meaning, but generally ruin means that something is wrecked, and destroyed is, yeah, they're very similar. We used, I think, destroyed more. He totally destroyed it or he ruined it. Yeah, we use both, I think, for sure. Let's see here. This is from Diener. Hi, Bob. How are you doing today? Good. I'm from Brazil and currently living in Calgary, Alberta. By the way, Calgary is a Canadian province, so Diener is out west, we would say. So have you ever been to Calgary? Thank you for your lessons. Take care. I have not been to Calgary. I have not been to Alberta. I need to visit that province someday. It is beautiful. I actually had a friend from Edmonton a long time ago. I think he still lives there, actually. And I do have a friend who I think lives in Calgary still. These are friends from way back when I was in university. So I would love to visit that province someday. Let's see here. Ingrid says, hi, Bob. Do you think that people with a basic level of English language are able to travel to another country? The natives are kind with tourists in Canada. So here's what I think. Money talks. So in English, we sometimes say money talks. When you visit another country, you are a tourist and you are coming to that country, and most of the people you interact with, you will be buying something from them. So people at the hotel, people at the resort, people at the stores you go to, people at the restaurants will all be very friendly to you, no matter what your level of English is. It'll become more challenging when you talk to people outside of those locations. But I think most tourist areas are filled with people who are friendly when people come to visit. Let's see here. Colby says, hello, Bob. It's my first time to watch your live stream due to the time difference. Well, hi, Colby. I'm excited to watch this live. Glad you're here. Please explain how to use the word reiterate. Thank you. So at the beginning of the live stream, I say, use the link to ask questions. Let me reiterate. You should use the link to ask questions. When you reiterate, it means you say something again for emphasis. I use the word reiterate a lot as a teacher. So I'll say, here are your instructions. Do this, then do that. And then I reiterate. I say it again. So whenever you say something a second time, that is the difference. Let me see here. I think I'm moving along. There's more questions coming in as I'm trying to get through the list, but let's keep going. Jason from China. Hi, Jason. Hi, Bob. Watch your videos for a long time. I can totally understand what you said, but when I want to speak, my mind goes blank. Any suggestions? So I know this seems obvious, but make sure that you are practicing your reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Sometimes it's hard to practice your speaking, and it's easy to focus on practicing your reading, your writing, and your listening. But again, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. If you can hire someone that you can talk to in English once a week, that will really help your speaking. There's a link below to a webpage called Preply, and you can use that to hire someone to help you speak English. I'm a French speaker, and I still, for 30 minutes every week, I have a Skype call with a native French speaker so that I can maintain my level of French. Notice I use the word maintain there. I forget who asked that question. But you just need to do a lot of it. You need to find someone to talk to and practice it. Let's see here. So Zobaidu says, hello, I've heard Canadians use the word yo a lot. Is it common or only young people use it? Young people do use this. I hear this almost every day. Instead of saying hi, they'll say yo. Some will even say it to me. They'll say yo, and then they'll say my name. So yes, it is used. Things like that come and go, though. Sometimes they're popular for a while, and sometimes they're not. Let's see here. Hello, Mr. Bob. I usually hear the word slightly. What does this word mean? So if I'm talking too fast, I could say I'm going to speak slightly slower. That means I'm going to go a little bit less. When I'm driving my car, sometimes I go slightly faster than the speed limit. So I go a little bit. So it just means a tiny amount. It means a small difference. Okay. Let's see here. Robson has the next question. Could you show us some movies that you like? Thanks. This question came up recently, and I have to admit, I have not watched a movie for a very long time. There are no new movies in Canada right now. You can go to the theater and watch new movies, but I'm not comfortable going to a theater right now. So I don't have a movie to recommend. I have not myself watched a movie in a while. I want to watch the new movie Tenet. That's the movie that I want to see. When it comes out online, I will watch that. Let's see here. Syed says, "Hi there, Bob. Hope you are well and your family. Greetings from a student in Manchester and studying business. Just wanted to appear in the lesson." Well, you're here, Syed. I hope you're still in the chat to see that. I know your question came in a while ago, but I'm trying to get through them all. Next is from Sukaina. "Hello, Teacher Bob. I'm a new immigrant here in Canada and I don't speak English very well. So I'm following you. I watch your videos every day, but no way tell me an advice. Thanks." Oh, I can for sure give you some advice. Keep watching not just my videos, but other English teachers as well. I like it when people watch my videos. That's awesome. You can give me a thumbs up if you want, but you should watch a variety of videos. And then see, I know it's hard right now because we have restrictions, but see if you can join a night class to improve your English. Maybe you're already doing that, or find someone who you can talk to regularly. That's the advice I would give. And don't be afraid to talk to everybody when you are out. If you go to get groceries, just talk to everybody. Just get as much experience as you can speaking the language. Just another little fly here. Let's see. So this is from Zen, and this is a pretty serious question. So Zen says, "I'm Zen from Japan. This can be quite a serious question, but could you report the reactions of people in Canada or around you against Asians under these circumstances?" So there is racism in Canada. We look at the United States and we sometimes think that there's racism in the United States and maybe in Canada there's less, but there is racism here, Zen. We need to be aware of that. I think as a country, we're actively trying to be accepting of all people from all parts of the world. And I think it is getting better all the time in Canada. But when you come to Canada, you may experience a little bit of racism depending on where you are. But in general, people from your part of the world are quite welcome in our country. There's a lot of people in our country who have immigrated from many different parts of the world. So in Canada, you are able to always see and find people who are like you. We are a country built of immigrants. So it's not very common for someone to have lived here for hundreds of years. There are some people who have, but most people are fairly recent immigrants to this country. So I'm not going to say Canada is perfect, but what I will say is that it is a good place to visit. And I think people will treat you quite well when you come here. Jean from Brazil, "How many differences between the US accent and Canadian?" There are some. I say the word about differently. I say boat differently. I say conversation with a Z. But generally, Americans and Canadians have no problems understanding each other. It's very easy for us to understand each other. Let's see. Next question from Amit. "Hi, Bob. Is there any difference between I love to make fun versus I love to have fun? Thanks." So the first one we would not say. We would almost always say I love to have fun. Or we would say I like to do fun things. Okay. We wouldn't say I love to make fun. No, we wouldn't say that. You could say, I like to make things fun. That's common. When I have a bunch of people over, I like to make things fun. I like to have things for them to do and lots of fun food for them to eat. So I could say, I like to make things fun. Hey, I'm almost done, but I do want to mention there is a subscribe button there. If you're new here, you should click that. Let me double check where I am. I think I'm going to do about 7 more questions, everybody, and then that is it. So let me get to the next one. I like this one. Olga, "Hello, Teacher Bob. I always watch your video with great pleasure, but one question worries me. What will you do when all topics for the lessons are over? Thank you." So I have a gigantic list of topics for videos. I will not run out of ideas anytime soon, Olga. But let's say 3 years from now, I am completely out of ideas. Two things will happen. I'll keep doing live lessons like this, where I answer people's questions, and I'll just start redoing some of the lessons. So if I did a lesson on feelings this year, in 5 years, I might just do the same lesson again. We'll see. But for now, I have many, many ideas. No worries. Tatiana says, please comment on the differences between the words aim, goal, purpose, and objective. So let's use them all in a sentence. They're all very similar, by the way. My aim in this video is to answer questions from viewers. Okay, so that's my aim. My goal when I do these live lessons is to answer questions from viewers. I can use those very interchangeably. My purpose for teaching English on YouTube is to just provide lessons that are free for people around the world. I see a few people are checking out. No problem. Bye, Renata. I see that you're leaving. Have a good day. I know I'm going a little longer than normal. And my objective is, that's the same as your goal. My objective is to answer as many questions as possible. Let's see here. Kate says, hi, Mr. Bob. I can understand word for word, but I can't see whole sentences when listening to English. Please give me some advice to improve my English skills. So here's what I would do. If you can read something and understand it, and then you can find the audio version of it. So for instance, if you watch one of my Tuesday videos, there is a complete transcript of the video. So try to read the transcript while you're listening. If you listen to music, have the words in front of you while you listen to the song, and just do a lot of that. That's very, very helpful. Let's see here. Huang Duke says, hi, sir. How can I improve my reading skill? I have read some books, but I totally don't understand. Make sure you're reading at the right level. I often recommend people start by reading children's books. Even though you might feel silly, you should still read at your level. If you're reading a children's book and every 10th word is hard for you, that's fine. If you're reading a novel and every other word is hard, that's not good. So try to read at your level. Andrew, hi Bob. Do you know about the book Ultimate Phrasal Verbs by Carl Hart? Are those verbs really useful in real English? Yes, we use phrasal verbs all the time. We use them without even knowing we're using them, Andrew. So English speakers don't actually know what phrasal verbs are, but we use them all the time. It's kind of this weird thing. I didn't really know what phrasal verbs were until I started teaching English. Next question from Neely. What's the difference between marmalade, jam, spread, preserves, or jelly? Thanks. They are all slightly different versions of things that come in a jar and you put them on bread or toast. Usually they're made with some kind of fruit. That's my answer for that one. Let me check here. 3 more questions and we're done. Hang in there, folks. We're almost finished. Daniel says, what page do you recommend for practicing English with a native speaker? I recommend Preply. There's a link down in the description below. I used Preply a long time ago to meet with and practice my French. Meet with people to practice my French. You do need to pay, but it is an excellent app and an excellent web page to do that. Mikhail says, hi Bob, could you explain to me how to use these words, despite and however? Yeah, I could have done this live stream outside despite the rain or in spite of the rain, but I didn't. I did it inside instead. So it means, hopefully you caught the meaning there. However, I'm glad I did it inside because I think while I was doing the live stream, it might have rained a little bit once or twice. Let's see here. Next question from Marcos. I know I seem like I'm going a little fast. Sorry, everybody. Marcos from Brazil. Hey, Bob, my bum's getting sore from sitting on the chair so long. Hey, Bob, how are you? Could you say something that I can do to overcome the plateau stage in English learning? Thank you so much. So the plateau stage, or any kind of plateau, is when you're making progress and then you're still doing a lot of work, but you're not making any more progress. Okay. So we say that you've hit a plateau. Marcos, I think it's the same in every situation. If you reach a plateau, you need to do something slightly different. So as much as I love it that you watch my videos, When you hit a plateau, you might want to start watching other English teachers on YouTube. When you hit a plateau, if you're meeting with a tutor every week, you might want to find a different tutor, or at least meet with 2 different people. If you hit a plateau, look at what you're doing. If you've only been reading novels in the genre that you like let's say you love science fiction, try reading a novel in a different genre, or try reading nonfiction. So you have to change up your game in order to just be better at it. Let me see here. Wait, I think I'm done. Am I done? Yes, I'm done. We're done. Okay, so I answered all the questions. I know this was a bit longer than normal. Once again, if you are new here, there is a subscribe button right there. You should click it. I think you will enjoy the English lessons that I give every Tuesday. And I do an English lesson as well every Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do this live lesson every Saturday as well. Thank you so much to the 600 or so people that are still here watching. You guys are awesome. Thanks to Dave and Todd for moderating the chat. And a huge thank you to all of my members, all of the people who have clicked that join button and decided to support my channel. You guys are awesome. So thank you. I'm happy that I could answer all the questions. I know some of you might watch this later today, or you might watch it again tomorrow with the subtitles on. That's always a good idea. Maybe re-watch the part where I answered your question in case you didn't quite understand it. Anyways, thanks for being here. Have a good day. I'm just going to wave for a little bit, and then I'm going to click the end button in just a moment. But anyways, thank you again so much for watching. It's lots of fun. I do really enjoy doing this. Have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. Bye.